Do you get to Sunday evening and you start trying to catch up before Monday morning? Do you get a bit anxious on Sunday afternoon because you know tomorrow you head back to work? Would you rather feel like you get a full weekend rather than cutting it short to prepare for next week? If so, this video is for you. Today, I want to talk about my Sunday reset routine as a workaholic because I default to work most of the time, trying to get things done. I know that on Sunday, I'm trying to prepare myself for the week. So I figured out a routine that works for me that helps me not feel like I'm cutting my weekend short or without having to get all of this anxiety about coming into Monday. So, yeah, let's jump in. Let me share it with you. I'm going to tell you what I do. I'm going to show you how I do it. And then I am going to also share a few of my favorite tools that has made this a lot easier for me. That being said, hey, I'm Rashida and I am tired of being a strong Black woman. It's made me a workaholic and I'm on an adventure to build a life where working less and living more is my default. So on this channel, I talk about letting go of workaholism, using vision to redefine my success, and living my passions like eating good food, bopping around and traveling the world, and wellness to take care of my body. If that is interesting to you, I'd love for you to take a minute and go subscribe. Yes, I'll pause. Go subscribe. And then also make sure you turn on notifications so that you can get notified when I create new videos or even do lives. I would love to see you go on this journey with me. So, this video is inspired by another creator that I love to follow. Her name is Stephanie Perry, and that's also the name of her channel. So, if you're interested, check her out. The video that, or actually, it was a live that she did called The Sunday Reset for Black Women. Create your Sunday reset routine for Black women embracing ease. And I totally fit into that category. So I want to add just a little bit to it from a workaholic perspective, because I know that if I don't have a plan to end my week well and set my next week up for success, it doesn't help bring down my anxiety. So I have some intentional things that I do that helps me be able to set my week up for success. Let's jump in. So, the three things that I make sure I accomplish when I'm setting up my next week for success is that I first reflect on what happened this week. Then I take some time to review the things that are coming up for the next week and I create my schedule. And then I wind down for the weekend. Now, here's the main key to that. While a lot of people do their Sunday reset on Sunday, I like to do my Sunday reset on Friday afternoon because if I don't clear my mind, I'm going to be thinking about work and all of the things that I have to do next week throughout the whole weekend. And I don't want that. I want to actually allow my mind to rest and to enjoy the different things that I have planned. So I'm going to walk you through, even though I called it a Sunday reset routine, it's a routine that I do on Friday because it allows me to really enjoy my weekend. Those are the three goals that I want to accomplish. That's the overview of what we're going to go over today. In my step one, reflect on last week. First, what I do is I pull out my schedule from last week and I look at all of the things that I had scheduled on there. Some weeks I'm really great at making sure that I've scheduled everything out. And other weeks it's kind of more of like a hodgepodge. But I like to be able to manage it. And this tool that's called Sunsama, I am going to show you that in a little bit because what Sunsama does is it allows me to also budget my time and therefore my energy because I can see all of the things that I have planned, the routines that I usually like to do. And then when I put them on my calendar, I can see when I am over scheduling myself, which is a big habit that most of us have as workaholic. If you're a workaholic and you're feeling at the end of your week like you haven't accomplished enough, or if you're feeling like the week got away from you, it's probably because you're having way too much expectation for what you're going to accomplish this week. And you need to practice budgeting your time and your energy just a little better. And this is going to help you do that. So, I see what things that I've gotten done. I look at my to-do list. I can see which things I checked off. I personally love checking something off. It reminds me that I accomplished something today. So if that's your thing, you are going to love this as well. And then I see what things I didn't get done because the reality is, even though I have gotten way better at budgeting my time and energy, there are still times where things take longer than I expect them to take. And so I don't get everything done. I either have to reschedule it or I need to add more time to it or whatever the case may be. So I make a list of what those things are so that I can then decide what I'm going to do with that. And then I take a moment to celebrate those wins. If I got a great project done this week that I had kind of been working on over the last 2 weeks, I go ahead and I celebrate that. I try not to get caught up on whether it's a big win or a little win. I like to celebrate all wins because each of them are steps or extra snow on the snowball that's getting bigger and amounting to all the things that I want to accomplish. And it's also amounting to me living this work-life balance that I've been trying to create. So I celebrate the wins as small as I drink my water every day. That is a great win. Or I celebrate wins as big as I launched a new website and I'm excited that it's out in the world. I make a practice of celebrating all the wins in between. And I suggest everybody does that because it really helps me feel the progress that I made. So celebrating my wins. And then from the things that I didn't get done, now I have to take a pause and look at them and say, is this something that I actually really needed to get done? Or was it a nice to have? Sometimes we put things on our plate that are either not our responsibility or they seem like a good idea, but then when it comes down to it, it's actually not what we needed to do to get things done. All of those things, I take a second and I look at them and I decide, is this something I want to keep on the list? Is this something that should go into my backlog? Or is this something that should just be deleted altogether? Because if I don't take that time and make that practice, my to-do list will feel like it's getting longer and longer and longer and longer and longer. And that doesn't make anybody feel good. It makes you feel like I'm failing and you're actually not. You just have a bunch of things on your list that are actually not important and you need to get rid of anyway. So this gives you a weekly time to take that time and look at that and make decisions. Okay, so that's why I do step number one, because it gives me a process of looking at what did I accomplish this week, celebrating my wins, and helping me know what things need to be carried over from last week into the week coming up so that I can make sure I get them scheduled. Okay, so then in step two, the second thing that I do is I set up my schedule for next week. And there is two main tools that I use to do that. One that I created for myself and that I use with my coaching client. And the other one is an actual program. So first, the tool that I use with my clients, it's called a realistic schedule. And the reason I started using this is because I kind of talked about this before. I have a habit of overbooking my calendar. And the way it usually happens is I have tasks over here that I want to do. I have a schedule over here that I want to do. I have random things in my mind that I've never written down anywhere. I have all of these tasks and responsibilities in different places, and they're not all in one place. So then when I go to start doing things, I realize that I might have something scheduled that in my mind, I also thought that I was going to be doing for something else. And I end up having a double book schedule, which again makes me feel like I'm failing. And no workaholic, actually, nobody wants to feel like they're failing, but especially not workaholic. That's not why we work so hard. We work so that we can win, right? So in order to set myself up to feel like I'm winning, I need to make sure I'm not double booking myself. So I use my realistic schedule. And what I do is it has all 7 days, all 24 hours for those 7 days. I take a step back and I create a budget for my time. So my sleep time, my deep work time, my rest time, like time for play and fun. So I have my weekly outings to go dancing every Thursday night, which happens to be tonight. I have that on my calendar so that I don't overbook it for anything else. This is how I make time to work less and actually live more. It's by making sure I use my time budget And so I set that up beforehand so that I have a clear understanding of how many hours I have left in the day to do other things. That keeps me from choosing more things that I can actually handle in a day. So then once I have those things, I take them and I put them into my favorite digital planning tool called Sunsama. So in Sunsama, it is a weekly, daily planner. And the reason I love it is because it's a to-do list, but it also will pull all the different emails that you need to respond to. If you have a project management system, you can connect those as well, like Notion or Asana or ClickUp. If you have, whatever different systems you use, oh, your Google Calendar as well. All of these different systems that we use to manage our time, they don't talk to each other right now. But when I put them into Sunsama, they do. And that allows me to be able to see everything that I have on my plate in one place so that I can decide what I actually have time to do and budget my time and energy from there. And a huge part of that is saying, even though I have things to do, I do not have time to do them because I also need time to rest. I also need time to daydream and look at the sunlight and sit in the chair and drink my herbal coffee or all the other things that I do. So it forces me to take a step back and choose not to overbook my time. So I'm going to walk you through how I use both of those tools. So it's called the realistic schedule, and it is what I find to be the ultimate budget for my time and energy because I have not found another tool that's really been able to help me do it. The way it works is that we are going to set up what your week should look like regularly so that you can have the routines and the lifestyle that creates this work less, live more setup from the beginning. And then everything else you can fit in where you have time so that it becomes your default rather than working becomes your default. So I walk you through some main steps in order to just get yourself set up. If you've never done this before, I start this worksheet off by having you take some time to reflect on what you want your soft life to look like. You might not have actually paused to decide what's most important to you. Sometimes that happens because we're so busy running from the things that we hate that we haven't stopped to recognize or choose what are the things we actually want and how are we going to run towards them. So this helps you get started through that. It's a little questionnaire, some things to journal. But then the next thing that I do is I go into my time and energy budget. So I've got some really great resources here to help you understand the difference between a habit and a routine. You're going to use that when we're creating your routines. This video is not about giving you all those details. So I'm going to forward to actually using your realistic week. So what I do here, this is what the actual time and energy budget looks like. From here, I go in and I schedule what times am I sleeping? What times am I working? What are my regular routines for my personal life, for my professional life, for having fun, for making sure I have rest and self-care time? I schedule those in here as my budget. Now, this is not my weekly schedule. This is the budget. So this is ideally what it should look like every time. When I have an understanding of what I want that to look like, this keeps me from being reactive to my week and actually being proactive about what is going to be important in the week and what I actually accomplish so that I can make sure I am intentional and get things done. All right, so here is my realistic week filled out. As you can see, I have budgeted my whole week. Every moment is accounted for. And the reason that's a good thing, I know that freaks some people out, whether it's about their money or whether you're looking at this and thinking a budget for my time and energy. It freaks you out because it feels like there's no flexibility. But the truth is, there's a whole bunch of flexibility in this. It's just actually being intentional about how you know you want to spend your time so that you don't overbook it to give it to something else that's not actually as important to you. So I know I like a minimum of 7 hours of sleep during the week. I don't want anything scheduled. I try not to make my flights before 7 a.m. Sometimes if the price is right, I'll go ahead and get up. But whatever those things are, my rest and relax time, which as you can see is this bright neon green, I make sure that those times I don't give to something else. And I actually put them in my calendar that way so that I'm not overbooking that time. And that's what's creating this work less, live more lifestyle that's important to me. So I know what times I'm doing admin things in my business, client work for my clients or doing sessions. I know that I go get a haircut every other week. I know that I like to go social dancing every Thursday evening. And I also plan times for my workouts because those are important to me too. So, what I'm doing here is I'm being intentional about setting aside time for the things that are important to me. And when it comes to that time, that's my time. And that's the kind of boundary that I want to have, not just with other people, because it's 9 times out of 10, I don't think it's other people overstepping their boundary with us. It's that we keep allowing it to happen, that we keep giving that time away. We keep saying, "Okay, I guess I can do it," or, "Oh, I can switch that out for my workout time." That's us choosing that, not somebody else. So this is also a mindset shift for me to say, "This is where I want my time to be spent, and this is how I'm going to use it." So this again is the walkthrough of my realistic schedule. The other tool that I use is called Sunsama. Let me tee that up. So this is what it looks like inside of Sunsama. The routines that you just saw in my realistic schedule that allow me to be intentional about my week are also here in Sunsama so that I have clarity about what time I actually have and what routines I want to do on a regular basis to create my work less, live more lifestyle. So these are things that I do regularly. Some of them I do on a biweekly rotation. You can put them as reoccurring so that you don't have to remember what those things are. And you can literally just use them every week, or you can delete them if you decide not to use them. So the first step that I do is I look at on my Friday planning, I look at what are the things that I accomplished for the week. And Sensamba makes it extremely easy for me to see that because I can check those things off and I can also track how much time I've spent on those things, which is good for me in planning next time so that I could be more realistic about how much time it actually takes for me to accomplish something. Then it also has the tasks that I have not finished. So if I had not finished these things on the day that I had scheduled them for, Sunsama will push them to the next day and put it at the top as a reminder to, hey, you didn't do these and you didn't do your evening wind down. So if you still want these things, I'm putting them at the top so you can see them at the top. The program does all of that for you. So for example, this was supposed to happen yesterday. And actually, it's supposed to repeat every day, but I was supposed to do this yesterday and I did not. So it's got pushed over to today. So now, once I have these things, I can decide, okay, if it's a recurring task that I just didn't get done yesterday, but I usually do it, then I can obviously delete it for yesterday and move on to what I would do today. If for some reason it's a task that is not recurring and it was more like a project, but I've put it off, I've put it off, I've put it off, then I have to have a hard conversation with myself to say, is this task actually important or do I need to put it on my backlog? Should I delete it? Then you get into the assessment. Is it important but not urgent? Or is it urgent and important? That kind of assessment to help me decide what to do next with it. So then once I have a clear idea of what is on my to-do list, I can actually plan my schedule for the week. And since Summon has some great features on how to do that, but today I'm going to show you just how to plan one day and you'll be able to repeat the same steps for every day. So as you can see, once I scroll over, I have my calendar. It shows up because all of these things are linked to Sunsama. I have my Google Calendar. I have Asana, my email, ClickUp. Those are all of the different places where I usually receive tasks and I can add them to my to-do list. And then I can also add them to my calendar. I could also give my week an objective. Like this week, my objective is to finish the creative for the launch of my new website and my new Insta site. I didn't create that here because I didn't do this last week. I was too busy trying to get caught up on some other things. Just being honest and transparent, I'm still human, even though this routine works well for me. But because I have this routine, if I miss a week, I'm usually not too far off because I usually do this. So I can create this objective that says finish the creative, and I can be specific about what that would be. I'm not going to get into all of that here. And then I can assign to what it's supposed to be for. So it's for my business. And then I can say how long I want to spend on it. And I can even designate that it's going to be multiple days. So say I need to work on this whole week and I need to give 3 hours a day to it or 3 hours on certain days. Maybe I can only work on it for Monday, Wednesday, because these are the regular days that I work on my business stuff. Then I can go ahead and assign that here. And it adds it to the days. If you see things moving in the background, that's because it's adding the task to that day so that I can make sure I spend time to do it. So now that I have all of that, and you can see I already has checked off Monday and Wednesday because I'm looking at it for this week. Now I can go ahead and put it in my calendar. This is another place where the budget really comes into place for me. And I love it so much because, okay, I've already said in my realistic week that I like to rise around 7 a.m. So then I can go in and start dragging and dropping the tasks that I have scheduled. And I have decided how long it's going to take for each task. So this one, I've planned 15 minutes. This one, I planned an hour and 40 minutes. This one, I planned 30 minutes. My YouTube release tasks are take about an hour. I have all of these plans. So now all I have to do is drag and drop them. And I can see when I have time available and when I don't. Also, because I have scheduled any meetings that I've scheduled with anyone else, they're going to show up here as well. So I can see those too. So I scheduled in my morning routine. I have a workday startup routine that's not crazy long. It's about a half an hour. I don't want it to overlap, so I'm going to butt it up right after that. Then a task that I need to do, engaging in videos on YouTube. Then I'm going to be releasing a video today, which I'm actually recording now. So I would usually have a task on here that says record my video. So that would be filling in all the time. And you can see I'm out around noon right now. Then I'm going to do my editing. And then I have a call today. So I'll have that on my schedule as well. Then I'm actually not going to do this task today. It's not the most important thing. And while it is a recurring task that I do like to do, I don't do it every day, but I like to have it here so that it's a good reminder for me. But I'm going to delete it. I'm not going to do it today. And I'm not going to feel bad about it. There's also a couple reminder appointments on my calendar that are more for my reminder than actual tasks. So this task where I call my nephew or that I might join this office hours, I can call him and then I'm not going to do this because, as I said before, it's Thursday. It is my evening to go step in. So I put that on my calendar and the call, it's not the whole time. So I can just drag and drop to shorten that. And then I'm going to add in my workday shutdown routine. So now you can see my day, all the things that I had on my to-do list are scheduled for today. And I actually see how much time I have left and if I need to add something else in or if I've overbooked myself, which is more often than not. So it gives me a visual to see how much time I've spent and where I need to make adjustments. So when I do my weekly planning, I do this for the whole week. So I take some time to create a to-do list of all the things that I know I need to accomplish for the next week. I create an objective for that week, and then I schedule all of that out and I drag and drop all of those tasks into here. And it allows me to be really realistic about just how much time I have in a day, how much time I have in a week, and how much I can actually get done rather than setting myself up for failure. If you're always overbooking yourself, you are setting yourself up for failure. You're setting yourself up to be burnt out, to be overworked, to be stretched thin, to be overextended. And that's the whole thing as a workaholic that we do not want to do anymore. Let's actually be intentional about not doing that. And this tool is a great way to help us not do that. So the main reason why I do this is because if I don't budget my time, I will overbook my time. And overbooking my time leads to burnout. And that is exactly what I am tired of doing. More than just burnout, though, I also just want time to go have fun, to go take a walk. And if I can be strategic and intentional about how I use my time, then I can put time in my schedule for me to be able to do those things. Otherwise, I will just keep plowing through. I will bully myself to continue to do work. And that's the workaholic tendencies, the workaholic behaviors that I'm trying to leave behind. But this is my intentional way of making sure that I don't continue to do that. So then in step 3, now that I've worked through creating my realistic schedule, that is more like my standard that I use every week until maybe if I'm in a different season of life, I might have to tweak it. But that's my pretty much how my week generally goes. And then my schedule is how I budget my time and energy on a regular weekly basis. So now that I've filled both of those in, now I'm just going to take a second to go back and look and make sure I've actually scheduled in the rest and intentionality of time that I want to make sure I give myself. Now I'm going to do something crazy, something that's really hard for workaholic, but guess what? You could do it and it's going to feel so, so good. Close the windows on your computer. I know you're like, oh my God, no, I'm going to lose stuff. No, you're not. Deep breath. You can do this. You can do this. Close the windows on your computer. You can do it. Okay. I believe in you. Next, figure out where do you want to go to dinner today? Do something that's fun and tasty, something that you don't do that often. Allow it to be a treat so that you are finishing out this week knowing you've accomplished some things. It's a celebration of you. And then make sure you have something fun planned, whether that's taking a bath, going to a concert, or going to work out. I don't know, there are people who find that fun. Make sure you do all of those things on Friday because it actually reminds your mind, hey, I am moving in from this work phase of the week into rest, and I am going to be intentional about rest. I'm going to let my mind relax, and my body is going to follow as well. All right. Do me a favor. If that routine sounds like it's something that would work for you, I would love for you to hit the like button on this video. Go ahead, like it now, because I'm really excited. This has been the routine that has really changed everything for me from being a workaholic and really learning how to work less and live more in every single action, every single week. I'm not in a place where I'm escaping anymore because I've got a routine that helps me live this work less, live more lifestyle every single day. So let me know. Do you think you can handle it? Are you going to try it out? Hit that like button and let me know. That being said, let me recap. So go ahead and get ready to screenshot this, okay? Number 1, I reflect on this week. The steps that I do to reflect on this week is first, I see what things I got done this week. Then I take a second to celebrate those wins. Then I look at what things I didn't get done this week and I decide, are those things that need to stay on my list, get put on the backlog, or just get deleted? And then I use that list to move into step number 2. So in step number 2, I review the things that are coming up for this week, and I use the things from last week and this week to create my schedule for next week. So then I go into Sunsama, my planner, and I actually schedule the things out that I need to do this week. And I don't just schedule work, I also schedule fun, I schedule rest, I schedule daydreaming time. All of those things, I put time in my schedule so that I can be intentional about having balance, not just hoping that balance falls in my lap because it's never going to fall in your lap. Okay. There's always going to be something to do, especially for us workaholics. Okay. Then number 3, I take a time and I wind down my week. I actually close the windows on my computer. Don't worry, the world is not going to come to an end because you close those windows. Then after I close the windows, then I decide what kind of fun meal do I want to eat for the weekend? And I allow my mind to recognize it is the weekend. So if those steps work for you, screenshot it now. That's all the steps. Okay. And don't forget, if you're going to try it, let me know in the comments. I would love to hear how it works out for you. What would you change? What's working for you? What's not? So now that I've shared with you my whole Sunday reset routine that I actually do on Friday, if you are looking for some more structure, some more accountability to use this routine, I am so excited to share that in January, I am going to start doing a weekly live where me and my community come together to do these steps together. Going to be every Friday at noon, where we go through all of these steps, and it's going to give you accountability. You can get a worksheet so that you have a simple way to join us and do it. And we're going to do it as a co planning, co working session right on the live. It's like a workout. You know, you do better when it's a scheduled time, when all you have to do is show up and do the work. And then when you know you got your people who are looking for you to come and show up and do it with them. So it's the same kind of feeling that I'm creating in this live every Friday. I hope that you'll join me. Make sure, again, if you have not subscribed to my channel, subscribe and turn on notifications so that when I start them the second Friday in January, that you get those notifications and that you can join and do this routine with me. All right. So if you already have your routine working, but you're still in this place where you haven't been able to create this work less, live more lifestyle because you keep defaulting to workaholic tendencies, believe me, I understand. I totally relate. Going from workaholic to a soft life didn't just happen overnight for me. I had to be intentional about it. There were mindset changes that I had to change. I had to decide who I wanted my identity to be outside of work. I had to redefine what I wanted success in my life to look like outside of work. And it wasn't just as simple as saying, this is who I'm going to be next. And I really, at that time, wish that I had someone to walk through it with me. I had to figure it out on my own. But now I have a 6-month coaching program that walks my clients through that whole process so that they don't have to stumble through it like I did. And it won't have to take nearly as long. If that sounds interesting to you, I would love for you to get my free webinar where I explain the whole process, step by step, of what I take my clients through to help them go from workaholic to soft life to build this work less, live more lifestyle. And then if it's a good fit for us, let's get on a call and let's get you into the program. So go ahead and check out the sign up for the webinar in my description. And I look forward to seeing you inside the program.